let's talk about Venezuela.
I feel like maybe of all the things not to talk about, the single highest profile thing that has happened in the last decade is the thing we're actively not doing.
There's probably tweets for it. I didn't pull an article for it.
Okay, I still want to talk about this a little bit though, because like.
So okay, before we start, I have a question.
Sure.
What jurisdiction is he supposedly being tried? Like, because are you allowed to arrest a foreign national who did a crime in a different country and then try them in the United States? Isn't that a massive jurisdictional issue?
I believe it would be. For the same reason that like, even within the states, we try to have our court system try people, like, in the district where they did the crime, usually.
Yeah, and it's kind of a big ordeal. Like, the only time that you can move jurisdictions is if there's been, like, such publicity around the case that there's no chance of you getting a fair trial in your own district.
Correct. Yeah, it's... The thing that's confusing me, though, is the amount of people that have just been completely gung-ho for this, for a handful of reasons. I've heard arguments that, hey, there were celebrations in the street when Maduro was taken away, and that was considered a reason why, Venezuelans asked for this. They wanted this the whole time. And first of all, I want to say, does that mean that it would be okay if, like, 50% of America right now, maybe even more, would celebrate Donald Trump being deposed? They would, 100%. Would that make it okay if a foreign person, like, if a foreign national decided that they were going to do that, they were going to just raid the White House and steal the president? Would that be an okay thing at that point? Also, I've seen another take with this that is confusing me, where they go, hey, did you know that Obama did this too? Motherfucker, the instances where Obama did it were in the middle of a previous war. But, like, one of the arguments that I've been seeing for this is that, well, Obama killed Osama bin Laden without a congressional approval. And for that, I'm sorry, but Osama bin Laden was part of an active war that we had already been involved in from before Obama became president. Like, that was the end result of an active military effort that was spanning before, not the first stone thrown. Then Obama invading Libya. The opposition kills Gaddafi. There was no approval for that. Cool. Congressional approval should have been there for that, and that was the thing that Obama did without it. Cool. Congratulations. You got one. I also think congressional approval should have been needed for that as well, because the ability to do acts of war is held within Congress, like the power of the purse. Also, I hear me again. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. And then...
I clicked on a thing and...
And then I saw one that said, like, well, Biden killed the Al-Qaeda leader in 2022, and there was no congressional approval. Like, motherfucker, the bombings happened in Afghanistan, the country we had been at war in since 2001. Of course there was no congressional approval for that. We were in the midst of an active war, you dumb fuck. Biden pulling us out of that was news, not Biden throwing bombs into it. Anyway, the takes I see on this are so nightmarishly goddamn stupid that if I were to apply literally any of them to modern day America, people would freak the fuck out. But it happens in a country that people didn't know anything about until fucking yesterday, and suddenly they've got different opinions about how it's actually okay for us to go do imperialism. And fucking Trump even went on record and said it was about oil. He even literally fucking said, we did this so we would have control of the oil. When the one thing that we as Americans joked about for 2 decades, from the last war we were in, the last major one we were in, the supposed war on terror that probably was just about oil reserves and shit, that meme floated around the internet for 2 fucking decades, and when the president of the United States confirms that shit, suddenly it's like, but it's okay. It's in U.S. interest. This is actually America first. How?
Yeah.
I'm so confused. I don't want to live in a country where my president can send me to war in a draft with no pushback from Congress because he can just decide that's a thing he does today. I don't want to live in a country where a man with more money or power than fucking sense says that my family gets to die for his cause because my family's all been in the fucking military. I don't want to live in that world.
But Cyrus, I have it on good authority that if Trump keeps up with this behavior, then the Democratic leader Chuck Schumer, he might wag his finger at Trump and maybe even give a tss while doing it.
He might do that. You're right.
Also, I'd like to thank Progress Only for this comment, which is what made me realize that I was streaming to the wrong thing, because I saw that in the restream, and then I was trying to find it to highlight, and was like, why isn't it there? So, yeah, U.S. law, because he's on our land, it's super sketchy at best. He wasn't on our... you had to go to Venezuela to get him, so that is not him on your land. He's on the land now because we went to get him, but that's not generally how jurisdiction works. Oh, yeah, that's right. The highlight my message thing still exists. Stealing how much heavy sour crude oil that we can't process. You guys don't even have the processing plants for that?
I don't know. Not an area where I have expertise. Then again, I also don't have expertise in international law. But the guy who runs the country doesn't either.
Neither does fucking Pete Hegseth or Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller was in the room while they were making those decisions. So,
this whole situation is infuriating. It really is. Because, like... Here's the last part. Not the last part, but the last thing that's like currently on my mind about it. Let's pretend for a minute. That we did take a dictator out of office, and that was a good thing to do. There's a problem with that. We did not actually instill a regime change. It would be like if Donald Trump left office right now. What would happen? Nothing would fucking change, because J.D. Vance would be at the front. And there might have been a time where J.D. Vance would have actually been a better thing for us on the left side of things, because he was flagrantly unpopular. But thanks to Turning Point USA, he's not unpopular anymore. He's popular within his own party now. So guess what? The same thing is happening in Venezuela, where the vice president took over right after we deposed the president and took him over here. There's not even a fucking regime change. We have people supposedly celebrating in the streets for nothing. Nothing. It's the thing in George Orwell.
When Trump dies, I will celebrate in the streets.
Right.
No, even knowing that J.D. Vance is just going to take right over.
But like...
And it's going to functionally change not much.
It's there's a moment in I believe it's 1984 where the state tells everybody that chocolate rations have been increased to 20 grams for each person per day or something like that. However, the people who were living under like the Big Brother state authority in 1984, their previous chocolate rations were 30 grams, but they were told that they had an increase to 20 grams. Now, the state was lying to the people in that story because there was no increase, but they were framing it that way. It's the same fucking thing here. There isn't a functional change, but it can be framed that way.
It wasn't a room, it was a cloth rag partition. Did you see the thing that they set up to do this operation? The command center that they had? Oh, it was straight up just like a room in a Mar-a-Lago ballroom where they didn't even have like the curtains and poles set up. They just threw a bunch of black tablecloths like over some I don't know what they were, but like it wasn't. It was just something that was already in the room that they just hung tablecloths over to make it look like a black curtained off room. But like the tablecloths were see-through, and they had a big screen TV in there that had a Twitter feed up on it.
A Twitter feed.
A Twitter feed. They were checking Twitter while they were doing this to see how people were responding, because I don't know. That's how this administration works. Although I do find it funny that he was using a Twitter feed, not a true social feed.
You know what? I have another media allegory for this one. How many of you have seen The Orville?
I've seen up to some of season 2.
Okay, so there is an episode of The Orville where they visit a planet where your ability to live is determined by the state. But the way that the state determines whether you should be executed, whether you should be celebrated in society, what your pay should be, it's all based on popularity. So what happens in the show is a player, or one of the main characters, goes viral for doing something offensive that he did not know was offensive. He goes viral in their super social media saturated planet, and they call for his execution. basically within like a couple days, because he goes viral for being a piece of shit, even though he didn't know or have any context for like what that meant. That feels to me like that's basically how the Trump admin operates. They literally just go, what would be a popular thing to do? What would get my base happy for 12 seconds? That one. Let's go do that one. Maybe it'll work. I don't know. If it doesn't, we'll just try something else next week. Keep distracting them so they forget the fact that I raped a 13-year-old and had their child fucking murdered by their uncle in the Epstein files.
Yeah. So, where are we? All right, this is going to come up funny, but I have the picture. That's the war room that they had. So that looks like those convention center like pipes that they have that you would drape, like hang black curtains on.
Yeah.
But it's not. Those are just like the rafters or something in the room that they've tossed tablecloths over that you can still see through them. You can see the Twitter feed that they have up in the background. Yeah. Oop. No, go away. I don't know how to zoom, but like, yeah, that's the Twitter feed. And of course, like Pete Hegseth is in charge there, but like that was his command center during this operation. Couldn't even leave Venezuela, leave Mar-a-Lago.
Why would I leave Mar-a-Lago? My place is perfect. Everything is perfect. The Situation Room in the White House is not equipped for me.
Oh, it's supposed to be. Okay. So, are you done venting about Venezuela?
Yeah, I'm
done.
done.
Anything else to say?
I'm done with Venezuela.
Venezuela.
Do you have any thoughts?
I do, but it's mostly just confusion.
Okay.
I haven't been following it closely. So I have this thing where when I get too depressed by certain news items, I just stop reading about them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a defense mechanism because it's like nothing I can do will affect anything about how Trump is handling Venezuela. So like there comes a point where it's like, okay, do I actually, like, yeah, being informed is important, but do I actually need to know this, or can I just, for my own mental health, I'm not looking at that anymore.
Are you telling me that the idea that your neighboring country could send the military without any congressional approval into another country and take the leader of that country and bring him here to try them on crimes they didn't even commit here, that's depressing to you? The idea that America would just do all of the things that Noam Chomsky talked about in manufactured consent, but just did them flagrantly and openly instead of doing them like with any tact at all? Mm-hmm, that's depressing to you? Wild. Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah, it's the same reason I actually don't listen to Skeptic's Guide to the Universe anymore. Not because it's a bad podcast, but because they keep on talking about climate change. And it was around the time when Trump got reelected that it's like, okay, all these climate change discussions are not going to get better. And there's nothing I can do about that. And it just gives me existential dread when I hear about it. So I'm just like, okay, that's not in my podcast rotation anymore. There's probably a lot of good stuff I've missed out on.
Yeah.
But I don't need the existential dread. I've got too many children to worry about that.
Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitta, you know I'm not saying that last part, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.